Let me tell you, the day they handed Noah that broken old dog, yeah, the one with the busted leg, the one nobody wanted, the one they said was his perfect match, just because they thought it'd be funny to pair the crippled boy with the crippled dog. That was the day everything changed in ways nobody saw coming, least of all the folks who thought they'd be laughing at the punchline. You ever see a kid's face when he realizes he's the joke? You ever watch his jaw clench, not in shame, but in a stubborn kind of hurt that says, "I'll show you"? Well, that was Noah, 14, limping through life in the little farm town of Elridge, just trying to disappear, dreaming silent dreams of running rescue dogs, but never letting those words out because, you start saying crazy things out loud and people just have one more thing to point at. So there he was, him and his dad, scraping together bus fare and swallowing their hopes, riding clear to the city because somebody at a big shot canine academy wrote and said, "Come meet this special dog. We think you two might just get along." It sounded like a miracle until it wasn't. Because what was waiting behind the chain link fence at that training ground wasn't hope. It was a dirty, scared, trembling mutt with a leg curled up like a question mark and eyes that wouldn't quite meet yours at first. "He limps like you," the trainer said, voice dripping with something sharp. The laughter that followed stuck in the air like smoke, but Noah just looked right past all of them and saw himself in that dog, beat up, sure, but still watching, still hoping. He took the leash and said, "I'll take him." That was it. That was all. Nobody cheered. His dad was silent the whole way back, probably torn between wanting to yell at the world and wanting to take the next bus back to give that trainer a piece of his mind. But Noah just kept his hand on the dog's fur and started whispering, "It's gonna be okay." He named him Chance, right there on the bus, as if naming him made him real again. The first days home were rough. Noah rigged up this harness out of old towels and belts to try and help Chance's bad leg, but the dog wanted none of it. He thrashed, he growled, he fell more than he walked. Some mornings, Noah just sat on the porch with his head down, both of them too tired to try again. But he'd reach over and say, "Me too, buddy. I don't want to get up either." It's funny how two broken things can sometimes patch each other up in ways nobody expects. Because after a while, little changes started happening. Noah stopped caring what the neighbors said, stopped flinching when the kids snickered and rode by on their bikes yelling, "Hey, rescue boy." And slowly, even the meanest ones started hanging around just to watch. You can mock a fight for only so long before you want to see who wins, you know what I mean. Then one day, this old man named Mr. Harlan shuffled over, cane in one hand, eye sharp under a faded ball cap. He took one look at Chance limping around the yard and squinted. "I know that dog," he muttered. Turns out, Chance used to be a legend, a real rescue hero, till the accident that left him just another stray for the world to forget. That night, Noah lay on his bed, whispering into Chance's ear, "They all forgot, but I won't. You're not finished yet." Maybe that's when something changed for real. Maybe the old dog believed it. Maybe the boy did, or maybe they both needed someone to say it out loud. Weeks bled into months. They trained in the rain, in the heat, in the cold, over broomsticks, through muddy ditches, chasing the sound of Noah's voice, one stumble at a time. Then, out of nowhere, another letter showed up, this one with the official seal, inviting them both to compete at the National Search and Rescue K-9 trials. Not as a pity act, not as a sideshow, but as real, listed competitors. Noah's hand shook so bad he nearly tore the envelope. He knelt by Chance, eyes wide, and said, "They see us now." The day of the competition was, well, it was like stepping onto another planet. The stadium blazed with lights and nerves, handlers in spotless uniforms, perfect dogs sitting tall at their sides, cameras flashing, crowds whispering. Some folks pointed and snickered, and sure, a couple looked like they wanted to say, "What's he doing here?" But Noah just walked, cane in one hand, leash in the other, his heart beating loud enough to drown out the crowd. When their turn came, they started slow, every step a careful negotiation, Chance's harness creaking and Noah's cane tapping, both of them moving like every muscle was remembering some old pain. And then, halfway through, it happened. Chance caught his bad leg on the jump and tumbled. You could hear the whole stadium suck in its breath, waiting for them to quit, to take the easy way out. Noah didn't even look at the judges, just dropped to his knees and said quietly, "We're not here for them, Chance. We're here for us. Let's finish this." And somehow the dog stood, shaky, but standing. They finished every obstacle after that, slow and steady, but with this focus that made everyone watching forget to laugh. When they crossed that finish line, the applause was a little stunned at first, then louder, rolling, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. That kind of courage, you can't fake. Back home, something had shifted. People waited at the bus stop. No more jokes, just these looks of, well, pride, maybe, or something close to awe. This little boy Noah had never spoken to handed him a drawing, two stick figures, one with a cane, one with a crooked paw, under the words, "You ran for us." Noah looked at Chance, eyes a little wet, and whispered, "You didn't just save me. You showed them all." But here's the thing, what really stuck wasn't the competition or the applause or even the way folks looked at them afterward. It was the way they made people remember that sometimes the bravest thing isn't being the fastest or the strongest or the most perfect. Sometimes it's just getting up again when the world says you can't, choosing, every day, to limp forward anyway. So, yeah, maybe the ones who limp, whether they're boys with canes or dogs with busted legs, are the ones who leave the deepest footprints behind. Maybe true strength is just refusing to quit when quitting seems like the only option anyone gives you. What do you think? Is courage about winning or about getting back up? Let me know in the comments, because I'll tell you, some races change a town, some races change a life, and some you run just to prove you're still here. You'd think, after all that, the crowd, the applause, the drawing folded with shaky hands, life would just roll out a red carpet for Noah and Chance. But let me tell you, the world's got a way of testing you again the minute you start to stand tall. Fall's chill set into Elridge, harvest season painting the fields gold, and for a while, things felt different. Kids would stop by the yard, bringing treats for Chance or asking Noah to show them how he trained his dog. Folks who never used to look twice would tip their hats, or sometimes just linger by the fence, their eyes soft. But underneath all that goodwill, there was a whisper, a kind of yeah, but floating around. Like maybe what Noah did was a fluke, a one-time thing, not something a boy like him could ever repeat. Let me back up a sec, because that's how small towns work. For every neighbor cheering you on, there's another waiting for you to slip. The national trials had sent an invite for a second event, a winter skills challenge, search and rescue in the snow. This time, the best teams from every region would compete, including last year's champions, a kid named Tyler and his glossy German shepherd, Blaze. Word was, Tyler's family had money, connections, a private trainer, the works. The way folks told it, he'd been winning blue ribbons since he was in diapers. First, Noah hesitated. Chance was older, still limping worse on cold mornings, and sometimes he'd freeze up on certain obstacles. Memories of his accident, maybe, or just fear. But then Mr. Harlan showed up again, hat in hand, voice gruff as ever. "You going to let a little weather stop you, son? I saw what you and that dog did. World could use a bit more of that." And just like that, the spark was back. Training this time was a whole different beast. Snow piled up overnight, and there were mornings when Noah's hands were so numb from the cold he could barely buckle Chance's harness. Sometimes they'd wipe out together, falling into drifts, both of them laughing, both of them cursing the cold. Neighbors who once mocked now joined in. Little kids with whistles, Mrs. Paxton from next door with a thermos of cocoa, and even old Mr. Harlan, shouting advice from his porch. "Lean into the wind, don't let it push you around," he'd yell, and Noah would shout back, "I'm trying." But the real twist came a week before the event. Noah woke to find Chance refusing to get up, paw swollen, old injury flaring. The vet shook her head. "He needs rest, maybe for good." That night, Noah sat up beside his dog, staring at the moon through frostbitten glass, feeling the old doubt gnaw at him. "You want to quit, buddy?" he whispered. Chance thumped his tail once, tired but stubborn. 3 days later, a package showed up on the porch. Inside, a brand new harness, custom made, with a note. "For the team that doesn't know how to give up." From someone who's watching. Noah never figured out who sent it, but somehow it was just the push he needed. Against doctor's orders, against common sense, he patched up Chance, promised they'd take it slow, and boarded the early train to the city, his dad gripping his shoulder, both of them quiet but burning inside. The competition grounds were all ice and blue sky, banners snapping in the wind. Teams lined up, bright uniforms, polished boots, everybody watching the boy with the cane and the battered dog. You sure you're ready for this? Tyler smirked as they passed, his shepherd gleaming like a wolf in the snow. Noah just smiled, because by now he'd learned, courage isn't loud. First event, a mock avalanche. Dogs had to sniff out a hidden volunteer buried deep beneath the snow. Blaze tore through the course, all muscle and focus, making it look easy. Chance limped up slow, nose twitching, head low, every step careful. The crowd was restless, a few people murmuring, maybe they should sit this one out. But then, just as the clock was about to run out, Chance stopped, started digging, paws flinging snow, and, somehow, found the hidden volunteer, earning shocked applause. Second event, obstacle relay. By now, Chance's limp was getting worse, every jump a gamble, every tunnel a test of trust. Halfway through, Tyler's dog slipped, spooked by the crowd's roar. Tyler yelled, frustration cracking his voice, but Blaze froze up, refusing to move. And right there, Noah did something nobody expected. He handed Tyler a treat from his own pocket, knelt by Blaze, and whispered, "You can do it, boy." The dog blinked, relaxed, and finished the run with Tyler. The crowd went silent. Sometimes, you change the story just by showing a little kindness. Final scores came in. Tyler took first. Noah and Chance just missed the podium. Some folks shook their heads. All that for nothing. But the judges handed Noah a special medal for perseverance and sportsmanship. Tyler found him after, sheepish, and said, "Guess we both needed a little help." They laughed, a bit awkward, but something real sparked there, a new respect, maybe even a hint of friendship. Back home, it wasn't about medals anymore. Kids lined up to learn from Noah, to play with Chance, to ask about that day in the snow. Chance, old and tired, would still drag himself out to the yard whenever he heard laughter, wagging his tail like he was young again. One evening, as the sun set pink over Elridge, Noah stood by the fence, cane in hand, Chance at his side, both of them watching the world go by. A voice called from across the street, "Mr. Harlan," waving a newspaper. "You made the front page, kid. Says here you're the heart of Elridge." Noah grinned, scratching Chance behind the ears. "He's the heart," he said quietly. "I just followed him. So, tell me, what matters more in the end, coming in first or lifting others up along the way? Can a small act of courage change the whole course of a town? Leave your thoughts below, because sometimes the real victory isn't in the trophies you take home. It's in the lives you touch and the trails you leave for others to follow.